Before we begin, make sure you're somewhere quiet. Turn off the lights. Put on your headphones. Because the stories you're about to hear aren't just scary. These are the kinds of experiences people don't talk about. If you enjoy true horror stories, unsettling encounters, and disturbing events that happen to real people, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Now, let's begin. I never believed trains were scary. Growing up, I actually liked them. The sound of steel wheels on tracks, the rhythm, the way the world slid by outside the window, it always helped me sleep. That's why, when I took a night train across 3 states for a temporary job, I didn't think twice about booking the cheapest overnight ticket. That was my first mistake. The train departed just after midnight. It was an older passenger line, one of those long-distance routes that still hadn't been modernized. The kind with dim yellow lights, worn carpet, and windows that rattled when the speed picked up. There weren't many people on board. I noticed that immediately. Maybe 15 passengers total across multiple cars. Most of them were asleep already, faces turned toward windows or buried in jackets. The conductor checked my ticket without saying a word. He didn't smile. Didn't even look at me properly. Just punched the ticket and moved on. I found my seat and settled in, headphones on, trying to relax. About 40 minutes into the ride, I realized something felt off. The train wasn't stopping. At first, I didn't think much of it. Some routes skip stations late at night. But after checking the schedule on my phone, I noticed we should have stopped twice already. No announcement. No slowing down. Nothing. Just the constant sound of metal screaming against rails. I leaned out into the aisle and looked toward the front of the car. That's when I saw the woman. She was standing near the bathroom door, completely still, facing the window. She looked older, maybe late 50s, with grey hair tied back and a long dark coat that didn't match the weather. What bothered me wasn't her appearance. It was the way she hadn't moved. I watched her for almost a full minute. She didn't blink. Didn't shift her weight. Didn't breathe visibly. Finally, I cleared my throat. "Excuse me, do you know when the next stop is?" She didn't turn around. Instead, she spoke quietly, still facing the window. "This train doesn't stop when it's not supposed to." Her voice was flat. Empty. I frowned. What does that mean? She turned her head slowly then, just enough for me to see her face. Her eyes were wide. Too wide. "You shouldn't be awake," she said. Before I could respond, the lights in the car flickered once, hard, and went back to normal. And the woman was gone. I stood there, heart pounding, staring at the empty space where she'd been standing. There was nowhere she could have gone that fast. The bathroom door hadn't opened. The aisle was clear. I sat back down, telling myself I was tired. Hallucinating. Overthinking. That's when the train finally slowed. The brake screamed. Outside the window was a station, but it didn't match anything on the route. The platform was old. Cracked concrete. No signage. No lights except a single flickering lamp that barely illuminated the snow falling sideways in the darkness. An announcement crackled over the speakers. "This stop is not listed on your ticket. Remain seated." Every passenger around me stayed still. Not one person moved. The doors opened anyway. Cold air poured into the car. And someone stepped inside. He was tall. Wearing a conductor's uniform, but older. The fabric looked soaked, stained dark in places like it had been dragged through something wet. His hat sat too low, shadowing his face. He walked slowly down the aisle, stopping at random seats. When he reached a man across from me, he leaned down and whispered something. The man nodded. Then stood up and followed him off the train. The doors closed. The train started moving again. No one reacted. I looked around, waiting for panic, questions, anything. Nothing. I stood up. "That guy just left," I said aloud. "Did anyone see that?" A middle-aged woman near the window finally spoke. "They always take one," she said softly. My blood ran cold. "Take one where?" She turned toward me. "To the last stop." I didn't sleep after that. Hours passed. Or maybe minutes. Time felt wrong. My phone had no signal. The clock in the car showed the same time no matter how long I stared at it. Then the train slowed again. Another station. This one was worse. No platform. Just tracks cutting through a forest of dead trees. Snow clung to their branches like frozen fingers. Fog crawled between them. The announcement came again. "If this is your stop, you already know." The doors opened. No one got up. Then I heard footsteps. Coming from the empty car behind us. Slow. Heavy. A shadow stretched across the aisle. The tall conductor stepped inside again. This time, he stopped in front of me. I couldn't see his face, but I could smell him. Rot. Cold metal. Damp earth. He tilted his head. "You're awake," he said. I tried to speak. Nothing came out. "That makes it harder," he continued. "But not impossible." He reached out. The lights went out. I don't remember screaming, but my throat burned afterward. When the lights came back on, I was alone in the car. The seat across from me was empty. The woman. The passengers. Gone. Outside the window was daylight. The train slowed into a normal station, clean, modern, busy. A different conductor walked through, cheerful, announcing arrivals. When I stumbled off the train, shaking, I asked him about the night stop. He frowned. "This train doesn't run overnight," he said. "You boarded the first morning departure." I told the police everything. They found no record of missing passengers. No unlisted stations. No night conductor. But a week later, I searched online. Buried in a forum post from years ago, I found it. Stories of a train that runs only when it shouldn't. A train that doesn't stop unless it wants to. And passengers who are never reported missing because officially, they never arrived. I used to work night security at a small regional train depot in the Midwest. It wasn't a big city station, just a quiet place where long freight trains passed through and a single overnight passenger train stopped once every night at exactly 2:17 a.m. That train was my responsibility. Every shift was the same. I walked the platform, checked locked doors, made sure no one wandered onto the tracks. Boring work. The kind that makes you grateful for coffee and podcasts. Until the night I noticed someone standing at the end of the platform. At first, I assumed he was just an early passenger. It wasn't uncommon, some people like to wait outside instead of sitting in the cold station. He was tall, wearing a dark coat, hands in his pockets, facing the tracks. But something felt wrong. The platform lights only reached about halfway down. Beyond that, everything dissolved into shadow. He was standing right at the edge of the light, perfectly still. I called out to him. "Train's not here yet." No response. I started walking toward him, boots echoing against the concrete. As I got closer, I noticed he wasn't wearing gloves, even though it was well below freezing. His hands were pale. Almost gray. "So?" I said again. He turned his head slowly. His face looked unfinished. Like someone had smoothed it over. The features were there, eyes, mouth, nose, but dull. Flat. As if they'd been pressed into clay and left too long. "You're early," he said. His voice was quiet but sharp, like metal scraping glass. "You shouldn't be out here this late," I replied, forcing calm. You need to wait inside. He smiled. I already waited, he said. Last time. Before I could ask what he meant, headlights cut through the darkness. The passenger train was approaching. I turned my head for just a second. When I looked back, he was gone. I searched the entire platform. Checked behind benches. Walked the length of the tracks until protocol forced me to stop. Nothing. No footprints. No sound. The train arrived. Passengers boarded. Everything seemed normal. Until the conductor approached me. Did someone board without a ticket? He asked. No, I said. Why? He hesitated. We're showing one extra passenger. That night, nothing happened. But the next night, the man was back. Same spot. Same stillness. This time, I didn't approach him. I watched from a distance as the train arrived. Doors opened. Passengers stepped out. Others boarded. The man didn't move. When the doors closed and the train began pulling away, he finally turned toward me. You didn't stop it, he said calmly. Stop what? I asked. He pointed at the train. They boarded him again. The train disappeared into the darkness. That's when my radio crackled. Security, we have a situation in car 3. I ran inside. A passenger was screaming. They found a man sitting in an empty seat, soaked from head to toe, breathing heavily. He had no ticket. No ID. No luggage. He kept repeating one sentence. I didn't get off. I didn't get off. Police were called. When they ran his fingerprints, they went silent. The man had died 3 years earlier. Hit by a train. On this exact platform. After that, I started paying attention. Every night the man appeared, someone extra showed up on the manifest. Every time. And every time, it was someone who had died near the tracks, jumpers, accidents, drifters struck by passing freight trains. They were always found sitting quietly. Never violent. Just empty. I confronted the man on the platform on the 5th night. You're bringing them back, I said. He shook his head. I'm reminding them, he replied. They forget if no one waits. Why me? I asked. Because you see, he said. And because one night, you'll be late. That sentence stuck with me. 2 weeks later, I overslept. By the time I reached the station, the train was already pulling in. I ran onto the platform. And froze. Someone was standing at the end of it. Not the man. Me. Same uniform. Same posture. Same tired stance. He turned and looked at me. And smiled. The next thing I remember, I was in a hospital bed. They said I'd collapsed on the platform. Said I was lucky. But when I returned to work months later, I checked the overnight logs. There was a note from that night. Passenger count exceeded by 1. I quit the next day. But sometimes, when I drive past the depot late at night, I see someone standing at the far end of the platform. Waiting. And I don't stop. I never planned on taking the night train. My car broke down outside Flagstaff in late November, and the temperature was dropping fast. The repair shop told me the earliest they could look at it was the next morning. I didn't have the money for a hotel, and the only way home was a long-distance passenger train that passed through once a night at 1:40 a.m. The station was almost empty when I arrived. Just a small building, flickering fluorescent lights, and the sound of wind moving through the tracks. The departure board listed only one destination. No delays. No warnings. I bought my ticket from a machine and sat down. That's when I noticed I wasn't alone. Across the platform sat an old man in a conductor's uniform. Not modern, old-fashioned. Dark blue coat, brass buttons dulled with age, and a hat pulled low over his eyes. I assumed he worked there. But something felt off. He wasn't breathing. At least, not visibly. His chest never moved. He just sat perfectly still, staring straight ahead. When the train finally arrived, it didn't screech like normal trains. It glided in silently, almost respectfully, as if the tracks were absorbing the sound. The doors opened. No announcement. No conductor calling destinations. Just an open door and darkness beyond it. I hesitated. The old man stood up slowly and walked past me. As he passed, he leaned in and whispered, "Don't sleep." I watched him board and disappear into the train. Against my better judgment, I followed. Inside, the train felt wrong. The air was stale, heavy, like a closed basement. The lights were dim, yellowed, and flickered just enough to make my eyes strain. Most of the seats were occupied, but no one spoke. No phones. No conversations. Just people sitting quietly, staring forward. I found a seat near the middle. That's when I realized something unsettling. Everyone looked exhausted. Not tired. Drained. Dark circles under their eyes. Pale skin. Hands gripping armrests too tightly. Like people who hadn't slept in days, or longer. The train began moving. I checked my phone. No signal. No service. No time displayed. After about 30 minutes, the train slowed. I looked out the window. We weren't near any city. No lights. No signs. Just endless forest. The train stopped. The doors opened. A voice came over the intercom. Flat. Mechanical. Wrong. Last stop. People stood up. All of them. They moved slowly, stiffly, filing toward the doors without speaking. Panic crept up my spine. This wasn't my stop. I grabbed the sleeve of the man next to me. "Hey," I whispered. "This isn't on the route, right?" He turned his head toward me. His eyes were bloodshot. Watery. And completely empty. "This is where we got off," he said. "But where is this?" I asked. He paused. Then said, "I don't remember." That's when I noticed something horrifying. No one who left came back. The doors stayed open longer than normal. The forest outside looked unnatural, trees too tall, branches tangled together like grasping fingers. I stayed in my seat. The doors closed. The train started moving again. Only 3 of us were left in the car. Me. A young woman clutching a backpack. And the old conductor. He walked down the aisle slowly. Every step echoed. "You didn't get off," he said. "I'm not supposed to," I replied. He smiled faintly. "That's what they all say." I asked him where we were going. He didn't answer. Instead, he stopped beside my seat and looked directly into my eyes. "Everyone on this train missed something," he said. A stop. A warning. A moment. The woman across from me started crying. "I just fell asleep," she whispered. I only closed my eyes. The conductor nodded. That's how it starts. Suddenly, the lights flickered violently. The train shook. The sound of metal screeching filled the air. The conductor leaned down close to my ear. "When it stops again," he whispered, "don't let it see you." "See me?" I asked. Before he could answer, the train slammed to a halt. The lights went out. Complete darkness. Then, footsteps. Not inside the train. Outside. Heavy. Slow. Circling. Something scraped along the metal exterior. The woman screamed. A voice came from outside. Deep. Echoing. Patient. "Passengers. Something knocked on the door. Once. Twice. The conductor stood perfectly still. "Hide," he mouthed. I slid under the seat, heart pounding so hard I thought it would give me away. The door opened. Cold air rushed in. I heard breathing. Wet. Close. Then a shape blocked the doorway. I couldn't see it, but I felt it. The woman sobbed openly now. "I'm here," she said. "Please." The breathing stopped. Then footsteps. Dragging something. The doors closed. The train started moving again. Silence. When I crawled back into my seat, the woman was gone. The conductor looked at me. "One more stop," he said. "And then?" He tilted his head. "That depends on whether you're awake." I don't remember getting off the train. I don't remember how I got home. But I woke up the next morning in my bed, fully dressed, shoes muddy, hands bruised like I'd been gripping metal for hours. My phone showed dozens of missed calls. The train ticket was still in my pocket. But when I looked it up, that route had been discontinued years ago. The final report said the train derailed during a snowstorm. No survivors. Now, sometimes, when I'm driving late at night and I see tracks cutting through the woods, I swear I hear a horn in the distance. And I never fall asleep on long rides anymore. Because I don't know if the next stop is on the map. Or if it's waiting for me.